So you've been wanting to make a chunky knit baby blanket and you don't know how to go about it? Well, you are in luck because today this video is going to be complete beginner friendly from beginning, the middle, the end of how you can make a chunky knit baby blanket, and you don't have to pay anybody to teach you that, okay? So watch this video from beginning to end. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about it, and I'll be sure to respond to you, okay? But first, my name is Amara. I'm the owner of Snuggling Knit Designs, and here it's all things chunky knit blankets, occasionally stuffed animals, but mostly chunky knit blankets. Okay, let's get into this video. First, what are you going to need for this blanket? What do you need? You need your chunky yarn, okay? This one is from Bennett's Blanket, extra thick. I got this one from Joann's when we did have Joann, but now you can get it online from Yarn Inspirations, okay? I'm going to tag some of them in this video. You can get from them. This is like 3 balls of yarn, like 3 of this in one. So to make a baby blanket, mostly I've seen myself using 3 skeins of 28 yards. Yeah, about 3 skeins of 28 yards. But this big one right here that I have, this is extra thick. This is 72 yards. As you can see, 72 yards. And here it says 7 jumbo. Okay, that's how you know this is the one you are getting. Again, it's Bennett Blanket extra thick. Let's say Joann is no longer available. You don't want to go to this website to get it. You can go to Michael's. This is the one you need to get from Michael's. Bennett Blanket Big. You can see the difference. This one is extra thick and this one is big. So always know that when you're going to Michael's, you look out for this one. This is 32 yards. So you might not finish using 3 of this, depending on how big you want it, but you might not really finish 3 of this to make a baby blanket. Moving on, we have this one. This is Yan B. This you get it from Hobby Lobby, okay? You want to get 3 of this. This is 28 yards. They also have multiple variety of colors. All these stores, they have different colors, like a plethora of colors for you to choose from. So when you go to Hobby Lobby, you want to look for the Yan B Eternal Bliss, then you choose which color you want. They come in 28 yards, okay? Then this one is from my supplier from Alibaba, which is I think is China, but this is from my Alibaba supplier. It comes like this. I believe it's between 26 and 28 yards. Either 20, yeah, between 26 and 28 yards. So you still need about 3 of this. So you can see all of them, they have different price points. So this is most expensive, but then you are getting 3 in 1, then followed by the one from Michael's, followed by the one from Hobby Lobby, and this is the least expensive, but then you have to buy in bulk for you to get this, like get the actual value. You have to really buy in bulk. All these stores that I mentioned, at least these 3, is here in the United States. I'm in the United States. I can't speak for other countries where you can get it from. Also, you can check online the local craft stores, even Amazon. There are, I love Humbees and Cozifo from Amazon. I've used those too and no issues. So now that we've talked about the yarn and the size that you need for this blanket, let's get into it, shall we? Now you have your yarn picked out. You have the color you want picked out. Next, you need a pair of scissors and a lighter. This is for you to be able to join colors or change colors or join another yarn when you run out of the first skein that you're working with. You need to join the second skein and also the third skein. So we'll be going over the methods you can use to join your yarns together, or let's say if you want to change colors, we'll be going over that method also. I always say knit on a flat surface. As a complete beginner, knitting on a flat surface is going to be a game changer for you. Maybe just a small table or even the dining table or the kitchen island, kitchen counter, just something flat that you can be able to see your work in a snap of a finger. You can see your work, how it's going, spot any mistakes and correct it immediately. than finding out at the end when you're done with the blanket and then you find that you missed a stage or you double knitted a stage or something is wrong and then you have to start all over. But if you're knitting on a flat surface, you'll be able to spot any mistake immediately. Okay. Now lay it flat on a flat surface. Like I said, you lay it flat. You want to make a slip knot. It's either you do it around like a Cancer sign, raise it up, pull this part down becomes your working yarn. Okay. You pull it over and then tighten it up. That's how I learned to make a slip knot. Or you can wrap this around your fingers, pull it up, pull the working yarn through, and make a knot. It's that easy. No rocket science. Let's do that again. So it's either you make a Cancer sign, like this is a Cancer sign. You pull this up, pull the working yarn through, and then you have your slip knots. This will be your first chain. You want to adjust this first chain to be at the very least 3 fingers wide. I know I do have small fingers, but you want to make sure it's at least 3 fingers wide. Now you have your first chain. We're going to have, for this blanket, we're going to make 20 chains. It's either between, I always have my baby blanket between 18 and 20 chains for starting. So to make more of these chains, you want to pull your working yarn through and then pull it like this. When you pull, you want to make sure it's still about 3 fingers. When you're pulling the next one, hold this down and then pull. That way it doesn't affect the sizes. Pull. Now we have 3. You pull again. Now we have 4. You hold and pull. Now we have 5. Hold and pull. We have 6. You hold and pull. Now we have 7. You continue doing this until you get to 20. But like I said, you need between 18 and 20 for a baby blanket. So now we have 20. This is what it looks like. We have 20. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We have 20 loops. Here's what I want you to do. This 20th one, we're going to reduce it just a little bit and then add one more to make it 21. This 21st is going to be number 1 on the first row that we are going to have on this blanket. Now we are going to turn this like this. It was like this. Now we're just going to turn it. Okay. When you turn it, this becomes number 1 and it's going to be going upwards. This becomes number 1. When you open up these loops, these chains that we have, when you open them up, it has like 3 parts: top, middle, bottom, top, middle, bottom. Each one has that, like this: top, middle, bottom. We're going to be going through the middle ones. Is it that you call it dragon hump or dragon ear or something like that? Okay. Each one of them, each one of these loops have that. If you make your cast on chain too tight, you'll not be able to identify this middle part very easily. So I want you to be able to make your chain 3 fingers so you can be able to add you can be able to find it easily. I'm going to bring this down. So see, when you open them up, each one has three. One, two, three. This one, two, three. This yarn is fuzzy, that's why it's very, very cozy. One, two, three. One, two, three. So we're going to be going through the middle ones. You want to skip this first one. You're not going to be going because this is where this one came out from. If you try going through here, you're just going to undo everything you did. So we're going to go through this one. You grab your working yarn, grab the middle parts, and you're going to push your working yarn through and pull it up. This time around, you want your loops to be 2 fingers wide. When we started, the cast on chains were 3. The body of the blanket, you want it to be 2 or even 1.5. Not too tight, but do not make it 3 fingers. 3 fingers is going to have giant holes in them, like you can put your fist through it. So 2 fingers or 1.5 fingers. You move on to second one, you push your working yarn through and you pull it up. See? It's still 2 fingers. You push and pull. That easy. You push it through, you pull it out from the other end, 1.5. Oh, sorry, 2 fingers. Push it through, pull it out. The smaller, the better, but not too small that you cannot be able to put your fingers through it. Definitely do not make it 3 fingers. When you make it 3 fingers, you're looking at something like this. This is a very big hole. It's very big. Your blanket is going to look, you're not going to like your blanket, how it's going to look. So we're going to continue doing this. And by the time we're done, we're supposed to have 20 chains because we started with 20. When we're done pulling through this middle parts, you're going to have 20 chains or 20 loops, 20 stitches. When you get to the last one, you can make the last one, the end stitches, 3 fingers. Just the end one, 3 fingers. I'll tell you why in a second. So now you pull these, make sure you pull out everything, pull them up so they are pointing upwards now. Pull them up, 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 up. Then you have the last one. Okay, I'm going to take this up a little bit. Okay, so currently this is what we have. We have our cast on chain looking nicely braided, and then we have our first row. Let's count this first row and make sure we have 20 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20 stitches, which is what we want. Now the fun part begins, which is making the body of the blanket. Okay. Leave this last loop, the last stitch, don't knit it. Just move ahead and knit the second one. You knit that, you just continue knitting. You pull your working yarn through each hole and you want to still make sure you have 2 fingers. I usually pull, when I'm pulling up, I pull with my thumb. I don't know, but I go like this, you know. That's how I do it. When I pull with my thumb, but then You want to maintain an even tension. When we say even tension, you want to make sure these loops are looking, you don't need to use a tape rule to start measuring each one of them. But as you can see, they look similar. They look alike. One is not bigger than the other. One is not smaller than the other. That's what you want. You want them to look alike. You don't want something like this. If you look now, you see these two, they are definitely bigger than these ones. You don't want to start out like this and all of a sudden your loops are getting bigger. That would affect the shape, the size of your blanket. So you want to maintain even consistency, even tension, even sizes. You want to maintain that throughout your blanket. That way, it doesn't affect the shape, the size, the form of your blanket. It doesn't have to be perfect, but at least near perfect. Okay, just pull it up gently. And when you're pulling, let me undo a few stitches. When you're knitting the next stitch, you want to pull the working yarn as close as possible before you pull through. You want to pull it as close as possible. You don't want it hanging off like this and then you're pulling another one. As you can see, it's going to have gap in between. You want to pull it as close as possible before you knit. That way, it doesn't have gaps in between them. Pull as close as possible. Make sure there are no gaps in between. Okay? When you get to the last one, you knit again. As we did on this, on the left side, we're still going to do the same thing. We're not going to knit this last stitch. We are going to just leave it alone, continue like this. So we knit it just once. Reason I prefer that is, see how nicely braided it's looking at the bottom. I want this braided look to continue on the side. I don't want the sides to be looking flat. If you knit this end and knit it again before moving on, it's going to look flat. It's not going to have this nicely braided edges. I know so many people love this braided edges. I've gotten tons of questions. How do you get your edges to look this clean, crisp, braided? This is how. There's no magic to it. I don't knit the ends twice before moving on to the next row. When you knit your ends twice, that's when you see the ends being flat. Except if you prefer it like that. But I know I've gotten a lot of questions, a lot of comments, how I get my edges to look this good. This is how. But if you prefer the edges to look flat, that's still okay. You can knit this, the end, and knit it again, like the second time, before moving on to the next row. Okay, now we are on third row. We are now going from our left to the right. The same thing. You want to maintain even tension, even stitches, even loops. As you can see, they're all looking the same. I don't have any ruler here. I don't have any tape rule. I don't have any measuring tape or anything like that to be measuring each stitch one by one. It's just all about when you look at it, you see that, oh, this is looking the same. But once I start knitting, oh, this one is, you definitely see that something is not right. You see that the loops are no longer looking the same. And this will affect the size of the blanket. It will affect the shape of the blanket if you have inconsistent loops. If you want it to have big holes in them, you can start with 3 and continue with that 3. But you can't do 2 fingers here, 1 finger there, 3 fingers here, 4 fingers there. No. That would affect the size of your blanket or the shape of your blanket. You don't want that. You want it to look nice, beautiful, and well made. So now we've gotten to the end again, the same thing. Let me show you what would happen if we double knit. So let's say we've knitted the end and now we go ahead to knit it again before we go on to continue knitting. I'm going to knit this whole row so you can appreciate what I'm talking about, because this is a complete tutorial. Okay, I'm almost at the end. Okay, now let's compare. This end, I knitted it twice. As you can see, this is what it looks like. But this end, I didn't knit it twice. I only knitted it once, and this is what it looks like. So tell me, which one do you prefer? Like really, which one do you prefer? The flat one or the nicely braided one? Me, I'll go for the nicely braided one, not the flat one. So this is what happens when you knit the end, like you're knitting from left to right. You get to the right, knit the end, and then decide to knit it again the second time before you move backwards or move the other direction. This is what your ends are going to look like. But if you knit it just once and then move on to the other direction, it's going to look nicely braided like this. So I'm going to undo this whole thing now. Okay, so we're going to just leave it at 1 and then just move on to the next one. We're still using the first skein to do this blanket. We're still on the first skein. Continue knitting. It's a repetitive something. Like once you start it, you see that you get the hang of it, and before you know it, you develop a muscle memory to it. Okay, now you've knitted the end again. I hope I'm still in frame. You just go on to continue knitting the other ones. You don't need to knit it twice, except you like the flat ends. If you do like the flat ends, by all means, knit it twice before you continue. So we continue knitting like this. You can see they're all looking similar. And look at that. I really love this color that we are practicing with. Now you want to continue going like this until you are done with the first skein that you have. And always check your work, always check your progress. Make sure it's looking like the size of the blanket is looking good. It's not just suddenly fanning out, forming a V shape. You just want everything to go straight like a rectangle or a square, but you just want it to be going straight and not going like a V. When it's going like a V, you're not doing something right. When it's going like a pyramid, you're not doing something right. Okay, so far this is what we have. We're almost done with the first skein of yarn. So this is one skein. I'm going to finish it up real quick. So this is the first skein of yarn. I usually knit until um I'm really close, like this. So now I know I'm going to add the next one here, okay, or even here. So we're done with the first skein. These are two methods that you can use to join yarns. You can choose to tie them together, like tie a knot. Make sure it's all secure, okay, and then you net. Oh, I think I didn't tie that properly. I don't really like using this method. So you tie it up, tie them together, then continue knitting like it's one continuous skein that you have. Then what you do, you take your scissors and you trim off the excess. When you trim it off, you want to burn it because it does have fuzzies. It does have fuzzies, so it doesn't start, ripping apart. Don't want it to start ripping apart. So you want to make sure that where you trimmed it is secure. Okay, then you continue knitting your blanket. So now it seems like you have one continuous yarn. This is also the way, like let's say you wanted to add a deeper shade of lilac or a deeper shade of purple to this blanket. That's how you add your new color, or you want to add white or any color you want to add to it. That's how you add the color. At least that's one method. When I'm done with this second skein, I'm going to be showing you my preferred method of adding a new yarn or a new color to the blanket, or how you join the colors, or how you join a new yarn. I'm going to be showing you my preferred method when I'm done with this second skein of yarn. So keep watching and continue knitting. Don't forget, always check your progress, check the blanket, make sure you're not losing or you're not missing any stitch or you're not double knitting any stitch. Make sure your work looks good. The size of the blanket is not looking funny. The shape of the blanket is not looking funny. Once you're good, then you continue knitting. We are almost done with the second skein of yarn, and I will be showing you now my preferred method of joining a new yarn or a new color. Just this is my preferred method. So I've knitted and gotten to the end. Now I'm going to trim it. When I trim it, I pull it out. From that one that I knitted, I pull it out. Then get the new yarn. I trim that one also. This is to expose, there is a plastic inside here. I want to expose that. This is where my lighter comes into play again. I'm going to melt or burn these two together. When I burn them, the plastic melts together and hold each other. Okay. When you're doing this, you need to be careful. You want to join it while it's still hot. So you need to be careful because it's still hot. You don't want to burn yourself while you do this. So you hold it for some few seconds, maybe 5 seconds. You just hold it, press it down to make sure that they melt together. Okay. Then you do a pull test. You want to pull, make sure they are not coming apart. If you did this correctly, they shouldn't be coming apart. But if you didn't do it right, you see that it starts ripping apart. Okay. Now I've joined it. It's seamless, one continuous yarn, and we go back to knitting. So this is where we joined the second skein. You can see it has like a bump here. This is where we joined the second skein, and this is where we just joined the third one. It's here. See how seamless it is? It is very seamless. It doesn't have that bump on it. Unlike where we did this one, it has this knots here. That's why I said I don't prefer that. I prefer this burning method. Another way you can join your skein or join a new yarn together is by using thread and needle to sew them together. That is time consuming, in my opinion. That is time consuming. So is it that you tie a knot or you use the burn method? And this is what we have so far with the two skeins. This is what we have. So now I'm going to go knit this third one and we'll cast off. Okay, so stay tuned. We are almost done with this blanket. So I'm almost done with the blanket, and this is what we have left. The general rule of thumb before you run out of yarn and or before you finish your blanket, you want to make sure you have at least 3 times the width of the blanket yarn left to be able to finish or to be able to cast off. So I had to look at what I have left and I had to just put it on the table. I have one, two, three, 4.5. So if I decide to do one more row, I'll not have enough to finish off the blanket except I go get another yarn or another ball of yarn to join to it. But I want to keep it at 3 skeins is what we're using for this blanket. So I had to lay it out to make sure that I have enough to cast off the blanket. Now that I know we have enough, I'm going to go ahead and start casting off the blanket or finishing off the blanket. So that's the general rule of thumb. Make sure you have at least 3 times the width of the blanket yarn quantity left before you start casting off the blanket so you don't run into troubles of running out of yarn and then you have to go and buy another skein of yarn to be able to finish your project. Now that we are sure that we have the quantity of yarn that we need to finish this yarn, I'm going to go ahead and complete it. Now that I've knitted the last stitch, this is the only time I double knit. This is to have a curved edge going this way. Even if I'm casting off from the left, I am going to double knit the end stitch to have that curve going the other direction. So if I'm coming from my left, I'm going to do that. If I'm coming from my right, I'm going to do that. Now we did that, I'm going to start casting off. I'm going to knit and pull over. The way I cast off, I call it knit and pull over. Let's do that again. Okay, so I've come to the end. I'll knit this last stitch, knit it again for the second time so I can have this going up. Now you want to make sure it's still 3 fingers wide as we did when we started the blanket. so it doesn't affect the shape or the size of the blanket. You want to make sure it's 3 fingers, okay, not too big. Now you knit, pull over. That's what I call it. Knit, pull over. You knit, pull over. Okay. Continue doing this until you get to the end. Again, don't forget to make it at least 3 fingers wide. Okay. And this is the last one. And you pull over. Now you grab your scissors. You've knitted the last one. You grab your scissors, trim off the excess, and then tie a knot. Want to go ahead, loop it back in, tie another knot. Okay. Then this is what I do. This remaining thread, I'm just going to loop it in, like from where this goes. Just loop in just those. Okay, now I'm going to burn it together again. I just find somewhere, join them together just like that. The same thing I did here, how I finished it off here, is what I'm going to do on this bottom part also. I'm going to tie a second knot down here, then loop it in exactly how I did on the top part. And just like that, your baby blanket is all done. As you can see, this is how the border, the edges look like. Okay, it seems as if it is one continuous braid that goes all the way on the side up to the top part. As you can see, it seems like as if it's one continuous braid. This is the left side. See how braided it looks. It doesn't look flat. And you are done. I'm going to be measuring this and putting the dimensions on the screen of how much the blanket measures. All done. And you have your nice baby blanket to gift. You can add other accessories to it, maybe add hearts or add a border to it if you're feeling like it. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let me know what you think. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.